morning, third grade. Our target for today is I can. Use a number line to determine elapsed time. These are all examples of number lines. Number lines are a tool that we can use to measure different things. We've used number lines in third grade before. We used number lines when we rounded numbers, and we used number lines when we solved repeated addition story problems. Some other places in life where we might see a number line would be a timeline, like this one that shows time from 0 BC to 200 AD. Or a ruler would be another example of a number line. A thermometer that shows what temperature something is. Or when you go to the doctor, they might measure your height with a special ruler that measures how tall someone is. Another type of number line we see is on some scales. Some scales that take your weight also use number lines. Just like how we can represent time on a clock, we can represent time on a number line. This number line represents every minute from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. We can clearly see where every minute between 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock is on this number line. You'll note that the space between every single tick mark on this number line is the same. That's something that is always true with number lines. The space between each tick mark is the same. On this number line, the space between every single tick mark is 1 minute. Each tick mark is 1 minute apart. Here's 4 o'clock, here's 4:01, 4:02, 4:03, 4:04, then 4:05. Each tick mark is 1 minute apart, starting at 4 o'clock and going to 5 o'clock. Here we can see some specific times on this number line. Here we can see 4:15, where the heart is, and here we can see 4:29, where the star is. Oftentimes, when we represent time on a number line, we cannot see every single minute. In fact, it's pretty common to only see a time every 5 minutes, like you see here. The tick marks are still evenly spaced apart. 4 o'clock, 4:05, 4:10, 4:15. There's just more space between each tick mark. Instead of having a tick mark for every single minute, now we have a tick mark for every 5 minutes. So there's 5 minutes between each tick mark. There's the same amount of space between each tick mark. There's just more than 1 minute between each tick mark. These 5-minute times act as benchmarks, just like 5-minute times on a clock act as benchmarks. We can identify specific times on a number line with a point. You can see a blue circle representing the point 4:15. Here you can see a red rectangle representing the point for 5 o'clock. Here there are 3 points, a blue circle, a red rectangle, and a green triangle. Where is the point for 4:40 on this number line? You're right. The point for 4:40 is at the green triangle. The green triangle is representing 4:40. It's easy to see that that green rectangle is the point at 4:40 because 4:40 is labeled. One of the tick marks is for the time 4:40 on this number line. Number lines like this are very helpful when we want to determine elapsed time. You might be wondering to yourself, what is elapsed time? Why would we want to determine it? Well, elapsed time is the difference or distance between two times. It is the amount of time that passes between two times, the amount of time that passes between a start time and a stop time. We think about elapsed time in our real lives all the time. Let me give you some examples. When you want to know how many minutes you have left before your bedtime, you're actually thinking about elapsed time. When you ask your teacher how long your break will be in your Google Meet, you are actually asking about elapsed time. When you wonder how many minutes you have left before your Google Meet starts, you are actually wondering about elapsed time. So let's think a little bit more about one of those examples. Let's think about when you ask your teacher how long your break will be, you're really asking about elapsed time. So I already told you that elapsed time is the amount of time that passes between two times, a start time and a stop time. So let's say that your break starts at 9:10 in the morning and ends at 9:25 in the morning. You, of course, want to know how long your break is. You want to know the elapsed time, or how much time will pass or elapse between the start of your break and the end of your break. Over the next few days, we're going to learn how to determine elapsed time. Number lines will be a very helpful tool for us to use. While it is possible to determine elapsed time by just thinking about it in your brain, or by using other tools as well, the helpful tool that we're going to learn how to use to determine elapsed time will be a number line, like this one. So let's think about that Google Meet problem, where your Google Meet break starts at 9:10 and the break ends at 9:25, and you want to know how much time you have for your break, or how long your break is. You want to know the elapsed time, but between the start of your break, 9:10, and the end or stop of your break, 9:25. This number line here is going to be very helpful to us. You can see that this number line starts at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock is a whole hour and o'clock time, and it is the whole hour before 9:10. This number line goes from 9 o'clock all the way to 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock is also a whole hour. It's an o'clock time, and it is the whole hour after the stop time, 9:25. The next whole hour after 9:25 is 10 o'clock. So this number line from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock has enough space on it to include both our start time and our stop time. If our start and stop times fit on the number line, it's a good number line to use. We're going to go ahead and start by putting 9:10 on the number line. I can see 9:10 easily because there's a tick mark for 9:10. It's right here, of course. 9:10 is clearly labeled, so I'll go ahead and put a point at 9:10 and label it start, because that's my start time. Now I'm going to go ahead and plot a point for my stop time. I know that the break ends or stops at 9:25. Again, I can clearly see 9:25 on this number line because 9:25 is one of the tick marks. Right here is 9:25. I'll go ahead and put a point at 9:25 and label it stop time. Now, I have my start and stop time on this number line. I'm going to go ahead and figure out how much time there is between 9:10 and 9:25 by using what we call jumps. We're going to move from one tick mark to the next, all the way from the start time to the stop time. So my start time's 9:10. I'll go ahead and jump to 9:15. 9:10 to 9:15 is, of course, 5 minutes. We actually have already discussed how on these number lines, the tick marks are 5 minutes apart. So in between each tick mark will be 5 minutes. So from 9:10 to 9:15 is 5 minutes. Now we'll go ahead and go from 9:15 to 9:20. Again, that's 5 minutes because there's 5 minutes between each of the tick marks on this number line. Now we'll go ahead and go from 9:20 to 9:25. And again, that's 5 minutes because it's 5 minutes between each of the tick marks on this number line. We have made it all the way to our stop time, so we are not going to continue jumping. There would be no reason to. We've already gotten to the end of our break. We can see that between our start time, 9:10, and our stop time, 9:25, there are 1, 2, 3 5-minute jumps, or 3 groups of 5 minutes each. If I want to determine the elapsed time, or the total amount of time between 9:10 and 9:25, I need to add all of those jumps together. I need to add 5 plus 5 plus 5. Go ahead and add 5 plus 5 plus 5. Grab your whiteboard or a piece of paper if you need to. What does 5 plus 5 plus 5 equal? Well, 5 plus 5 plus 5, or 5 times 3 if you thought about it, equals 15. Well, third grade, that means that the answer to the problem we were trying to solve, what is the elapsed time between 9:10 and 10:25, is 15. The total amount of time between the start time 9:10 and the stop time 9:25 is 15 minutes. So that would tell us that our break will be 15 minutes long. You can see that a number line can be a very helpful tool for determining elapsed time, or how much time passes between a start and stop time. Thank you for beginning to learn about elapsed time with me today, third grade. We'll learn more about elapsed time tomorrow. Have a great day.